We had a nice surprise when Brian Hernandez was at the races just last weekend, literally about a week after a really serious-looking spill in which he suffered broken ribs, a punctured lung, a lacerated liver. Doctors estimated he would be out for 6 to 8 weeks. But this morning, this from Kevin Kirstein at Churchill Downs, 3 weeks after suffering broken ribs, punctured lung, lacerated liver, Brian Hernandez was back on horses this morning for Tom Drury Racing. And in another post, there were pictures of him on a horse galloping. It's remarkable how quickly these jockeys recover. Caleb, he had originally said, Brian did, that he hoped to be back in time for the Breeders' Cup. That would be exactly 6 weeks after the spill. I don't know if he'll make the Breeders' Cup, but already he scored something in my book by just being able to get back on horses. And I know he would be only doing it with approval from his doctors or physical therapists. So he is recovering nicely.
It's amazing how these jockeys, pound for pound, one of the toughest athletes in the world, can take an 8-week injury diagnosis and turn it into just a couple weeks.
Right.
Earlier this spring, Junior Alvarado had a serious arm injury. The first doctor told him it's going to be at least 2 months. He said, that's not going to work. I need to ride Sovereignty in the Kentucky Derby. Got a second opinion from his doctor in New York and turned it into a 2 or 3 week turnaround, and we know what happened after that. And speaking of the Derby, I truly believe that Brian Hernandez gave the greatest ride in the history of over 150 years in the Derby. There were so many key points. Number one, he outbroke Dornick, who was the probable pace setter, and then legally cut him off. Number two, saved all the ground in the world. Number three, bravely bowled through Track Phantom, turning for home, and then finally held off the two favorites, closing in there late to win by a no. So every bit of that journey, I think, was the best ride we've ever seen in the Derby.
Well, Mystic Dan, one of Kenny McPeek's top horses that may see action in the Breeders' Cup. We've heard that Torpedo Anna will not, but she'll still be represented, so to speak, at the Breeders' Cup with that sale. The auction that takes place at Del Mar Breeders' Cup week will be an exciting one with 20% interest in her being auctioned off. But the Breeders' Cup Classic field is really shaping up to be interesting. The Lucas Classic, Mystic Dan, what did we learn about him from this performance, do you think, Caleb?
If any of us could love something as much as Mystic Dan loves the rail at Churchill Downs, we'd be a much better world altogether. Because what I love about Mystic Dan is how when you have a great horse that goes vastly off form, he didn't fire at all in the Belmont, didn't fire in the Malibu, ran basically dead last in the Pegasus. To slowly build back up to your key form, I mean, the numbers that he's hit this year are equal to the 101 buyer that he got when he won the Kentucky Derby. So for Kenny McPeek to have 3 races in a row, you're like, oh, we're never going to see the best of Mystic Dan again. For him to come back and win the blame, to win that race is exceptional. I'm
excited to see him back in the mix with all those. Also, just to see a Kentucky Derby winner get back to the winner's circle at the highest level, I think is a huge thing and another feather in Kenny McPeek's hat as well.